Live studio, non-studio audience, whatever. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Let's get this shared around and we can start doing the stuff, doing the talking. Because today is another fantastic holiday. Cinco de Mayo. Happy Cinco de Mayo. There we go. Click. Post. And let's get this shared around. Share public. And share to a page. All right. So who is in here? There are two people in here. B-E-A-U-T full. Laura Blackwell. Good morning, Laura. Let's get this shared on the Twitter. Do a little tweetly tweet. And I'm hoping Rich and Eileen are going to be joining us in a hair here. Good morning and tweet. Beautiful. Brilliant. So, the first time I can remember Taco Tuesday happening on Cinco de Mayo, and it's ruined by a virus named after a Mexican beer. This is irony. But it's a beautiful day. The sun is shining. Looks like there's a few people lining up in chat, so let's get over to the chat screen. See, good morning, Eileen. Glad you could make it in. Laura, busy day. Probably not going to be able to listen today. That's okay. I'm glad you're at least making the effort. And Eileen, Rich will not. Rich will not. He had to go into work today. Going to work? Are they opening back up, or? I thought that wasn't going to be for like another week, or till next week. Why is he going in? Or is it just to try and clean everything and get everything ready for when they do open? 9:03. Yeah, they are doing takeouts. Oh, okay. I didn't realize that. Well, I'm sure he'll be in a better mood now that he's going to be going back to work. We can open the restaurants. We can open the restaurants for a while. Okay. Interesting. My whole worldview right now is more centered on what's PA doing and what's going on with the apartment. I'm sorry. I'm not really versed in what all is going on in the rest of the country. I feel like I should be. Though. They just started back up doing takeouts. He is only working 2 days a week, a total of 10 hours. We cannot open. Oh, okay. I don't know. Also, as per Joseph D, I have been looking into different ways to garner sponsors. At least that's what I've been trying to work on the last, hour or two, a couple hours yesterday. But I don't know. Just seeing what's going on here and trying to make something work. Total of 10 hours. Well, that's 10 more hours than he was getting. I'm glad he's doing at least something there. So I have some bad news. Some of you are privy to it. Good friend of mine's house burnt down yesterday. So I'm going to be spending today. Kelsey Quinn. Good morning, Kelsey. I'm going to be going over to his house or not his house, my apartment, and getting some clothes for him, dropping that off, and maybe taking him shopping today. Not to like Walmart or something, just get him some clothes, a week or so's worth of clothes to wear. Kelsey, this is the first time I'm seeing you in the chat. Welcome, and I hope you have a nice cup of coffee. How are you doing today? But there is a GoFundMe setup for him. I will share that on the Knightsmith page on my Facebook page, and hopefully we can get something together for him. They're looking at raising a total of $6,000, so I think we can do that in a month or so, 2 months. More text messages, ton of them. Oh boy. Let's see, I'm looking at cameras, and I think I have the one picked out. Eileen, I sent you 2 of them yesterday. I think I'm going to go with the Panasonic. A couple of reasons. It's a wee bit cheaper. I'm good. I'm sorry to hear about your friend. Thank you, Kelsey. I mean, it sucks. It's the worst possible time for this to happen, but he's not alone. So we're going to be doing some stuff and trying to get him all as back to normal as we can. And then I'm sure in a year or two we'll be laughing about it. It just kind of sucks right now. But Eileen, I think I'm going to go with the Panasonic. One, it's $200 cheaper than the Canon, and it has more features that I'm looking for than the Canon. I'm not sure if I'm going to be shooting in 4K or not. I mean, people are saying that they should, and it future-proofs your videos, and blah, 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 blah. But I mean, most of my users watch on their cell phone. And so at a certain time, the difference between 1080p and 4K resolutions kind of don't matter so much unless you're watching it on like a television, and then it becomes more apparent. And they also have it so you can control the camera from your cell phone, which is kind of cool, I think. In like when I'm doing like talking head videos and stuff, I don't need then to have my wife, act as my camera person. So, while I can shoot in 4K, I think primarily I'm going to be shooting in 1080p. And then I could just do all my talking head videos and just kind of direct myself from my phone. Let's see, Joe D, 4K is not mobile friendly a lot of the time. For what you're doing, it's unnecessary. That's kind of what I figured. And good morning. That's what I figured. I mean, yeah, it can future-proof things, but I think it'd be just meh. And Eileen, I love that feature with the camera I got yesterday. Yeah, that's really cool. And that allows you to set up a lot of really interesting shots and stuff without having to, futz with your camera at all. And once you get it dialed in just perfect for the shot you want to take, especially if you're doing product photography like you're going to be doing for your stuff, you can get that camera dialed in perfect, get it all set up, and just change your displays without ever touching the camera, so you don't bump it, you don't screw with it, and you can just start clicking away. Also, I don't know if I told you about this or not, but since you're going to be taking all this photography, and you enjoy taking like landscape photography, one thing I think you really should look into is selling your photos, and that way you can have some sort of a passive income stream for those photos that you already have now. Because otherwise, how often are you going to look through 10,000 photos? And you cannot wait to get the Lightbox and test it out. Cool. Lightboxes are fun because then they allow you to get like a clean picture, and then you could take that over into Canva and do all the stuff. Let's see, Serena Carmen. Good morning. You did make it. Huzzah! That's fantastic news. And Eileen, that's a good idea. And Joe looks like he is agreeing with me. Yes, that can become a livable income itself. Even though that's not going to be your main shtick, even if it gets you $10 a month, like, come on. You're taking the photos anyways. All you have to do is just upload them to a site, and then you get that little bit of a trickle. And I'm all about passive income streams. And people have a major misconception when it comes to passive income. They think it's just something you just click once and you can walk away, and that's not really the case. Passive income takes a lot of upfront investment and especially sweat equity to get these systems in place. In your case, that would mean humping out into the woods and taking a ton of photos, bringing them back, taking out your best 200 and uploading them to websites. Now you can do them to 1 or 6, or you can have, I know there's one that does like a conglomeration. They upload them to 6 different websites or something. So there's research involved in there. However, if you do that while you're doing all your earrings and your jewelry and stuff and working on your own business, all this other stuff is just slowly accruing. And that's the best way to get things handled and set up those streams. And really, there's no limit to how far you can take this or what you can do with it. So I think that's something you really need to look into sooner rather than later. So Serena, I'm glad you finally made it. And we can actually like talk, and it's a real living stream this time. How are you doing this morning? I hope you have a nice cup of coffee. Oh boy. So I slept good from about 10 o'clock last night till 2 in this morning. And then little boyo just wasn't having it. So I might be like kind of fading in and out of awakeness and awareness. So I do apologize. And my neck is absolutely killing me. I have this little neck massager my mother-in-law got me. And it actually kind of along the same line. She got this as a way to help mitigate headaches and migraines because I get them chronically. It's great. Just 4 little nubs that kind of turn and heat up, on your neck. It's a big old thing that goes around your neck. You put your arms in it and just, it's kind of nice. It's kind of very nice. Ooh, and I got notifications that you added to your story. Cool. Drink more wine, maybe? Ow. Oh, that hurt. Hmm. Um, so still no word on the apartment. We're going to be tomorrow. We're going to be bugging the landlord again. Part of me feels bad, but at the same time, we've been kicked out of our apartment for more than 4 weeks, or this is week 4. So my legendary patience is wearing quite thin. Um, yeah, so I just don't know what we're going to be doing, or if we even should be worrying about that. I meant to ask what happened with your apartment. Okay, so here's what happened. There has been a leak in our apartment. We got the apartment right before Connor was born. So about 7.5, 8 months ago. We've had a leak in our kitchen for about 4.5 months. Just a small leak, just a little drip from the thing. Yeah, when cups attack, right? Oh, that hurts. So, and we lost about 20% of the kitchen space on an intermittent basis. And he's had people going up and futzing around with the roof and stuff. Kind of a half-assed attempt at fixing it. Well, about 5 weeks ago, it escalated drastically, and the ceiling started bowing and stuff in the kitchen. And then a couple days after that, we got a heavy rainstorm, and in our living room, it started leaking. 2 days after that event, the ceiling started collapsing because it's one of those tri-layer fiberboards that kind of intermesh with each other. And if you know anything about them, as soon as they get wet, they're trash. Absolute garbage ceiling systems. They're from like the 60s and 70s. When they're done right, they look really pretty. But it's really hard to do them right. And when something happens, anything happens, they just fail catastrophically. Every time. So, with the kiddo, we couldn't have him. We couldn't have him keep him in that environment. So we packed up and left for my parents' house because at the time they were the safest option. They have a yard. They're close. They have a ton of food. They have chickens. They have space, an extra bed. And I love them to death, but it is taxing. So it's kind of where we are there. And insurance adjusters have been there and back, and this has been going on for 4 weeks. That this is week 4 of not being in the apartment. So my patience is getting pretty thin. Let's see, Serena. Side note. I played a new fun game, puzzle game. Cool. Is the name of the game puzzle game, or is it just a puzzle game? Send me the link or whatever to that. Also, there's a Cards Against Humanity type variant that you can get on your phone and play with people. My one ex-girlfriend and her little sister invited me, and we played. This is a couple weeks ago that we all played together. 2 or 3 rounds, and it was really cool. I think we should do something like that because you'd be fun to play against, and then we can get 4 or 5 other people. Cryptid. Is that on like mobile, or is that on like computer or console or? And Joe. Yep, they turn to wet paper when they get wet. Yeah, pretty much. They're garbage ceilings. So the idea is to get the insurance money, get the roof fixed, and then install new ceilings for us. But yeah, we've been out for a month. So I don't know if we should, if it's going to be another month until we can even get back in there, if we should just start looking for another apartment to begin with. Um, I liked where we were at. You know, it was a great location. It was only $600 a month. Um, you know, I was less than 10 minutes away from the office, which was fantastic. A couple bars and restaurants right within walking distance. Um, Close enough to my parents, but still far enough away. Kind of middle distance to her parents. It was a good little setup. Cute apartment. And it would really suck because if we had to move out of there, because a lot of that furniture is heavy. It's on the second floor. Um, but I don't know. Let's see, Serena. It's a board game. I mean, they probably have it via computer on Tabletop Simulator. Interesting. I'll have to check that out. Joe, I do have 2 cents on this, but I don't want to take over the conversation. Hit me up later and let's talk about it. I will definitely follow up on that. Yeah, I don't know if you know, but Tabletop Simulator is a way that you can play board games online. It's an application through Steam. It's about 20 bucks. I only just got it as a gift, so I'm still not 100% sure on how it functions. Interesting. There's also a game called Bomb Disposal. My brother just got it on Xbox, but you can get it on Steam as well. And you need to be in 2 locations, and one of you needs to have a computer, and the other one needs to have a workbook. And this is one that I played with my best friend, well, ex-best friend, several years ago, and it was just a boatload of fun. So what it is one person's the bomb technician, and the other person's the expert. The expert is the one that is that has the workbook, the pamphlet, whatever the manual, whatever you want to call it. The expert can't see the screen. The technician can't see the book. So it works. If you're in the same room, you have to be apart from each other, or via phone call, whatever. So the technician, goes through the bomb and tries describing it to the expert. The expert tries to figure out what it is, and go back and forth. It is an absolute ton of fun. So that is one thing I do want to do. We don't have a printer here, or at least we don't have a working printer at my parents' house. But my Xbox is here. But so I want to try and find some way to get that printed off, that manual printed off, and then me and my brother can play it. That'd be a ton of fun. Or my wife and my brother, and whatever. We could go back and forth. It'd be a great time. Let's see. Serena, I've definitely played that before. I was terrible at it. Yeah, you have to be very, very quick, very precise, and have very, very good communication skills when it comes to things that are very not intuitive. I wasn't that good at it either. Joe, the Tabletop Simulator sounds cool. I got to check that out. I just bought a Jackbox party pack, which is like a collection of party games. Huh. Interesting. Gonna have to take a look at that. Let's see. We also have on our Xbox Ticket to Ride, which, as my brother bought it because he likes playing that with us. He brought it and he bought it and gifted it to us because we have the board game. And he got like a couple expansions and stuff for it. He didn't read it because in the description it says, Ticket to Ride, a fun family game to play, or fun game to play with your friends and family. It's one player, which, how is that fun to play with your friends and family? No. So that's disappointing, but we have Monopoly, and I mean we have like other games and stuff like Minecraft and stuff, but as far as tabletop games, we have Monopoly on the Xbox right now, which is cool. And I want to get that Bomb Disposal game because Joe, you have no idea how much fun that is. especially when someone gets frustrated. With my brother, he has dyslexia, so he's trying to read out things left to right, right to left, and he always gets those confused. And then he gets symbols, and then he gets really frustrated. And then you have that time tick, 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 tick. So fun. But I could just watch him play that game all day. It's a lot of fun. What else? What else? What else? I want to get back into playing Armada, which there's a decent amount of setup for it, but it's only like a 2-player game. Whereas when you're playing like X-Wing, you can have it so that each person controls one ship. But Armada is just, one-on-one clash. So much fun though. So much fun. But that requires a large table and time, which we don't really have here, unfortunately. Let's see, another project me and my dad have been looking at. So my parents have these raised garden beds. They're like 2.5 feet by 8 feet. And what they did over this winter, there's 3 of them. They're raised up like 2.5 feet off the ground. My dad took some PVC pipe and made hoops, and then a spine, and then like mini made them into hoop gardens, which are basically mini greenhouses. They worked fantastically this winter. Even in the middle of winter, you could, if you opened one up and crawled inside, it was like 75, 80 degrees in there, kind of steamy, really nice actually. So we're going to supersize that this year, lay in some 4x4s, around the whole perimeter, and instead of having each individual one as its own hoop, we're going to make a giant hoop across all 3 from out to out, and then put 2 doors on the walkways between them. And that's going to be a ton of fun, guys. Middle of winter, it'll still be like 80 degrees, even if it's like 20 or 10 degrees outside, which is fantastic. So that's going to be a cool little project to do. And maybe I'll even film that, because it's stupid easy, very fast, and so low tech. I mean, the most expensive thing is the plastic sheathing and the 4x4s, but I mean, what is it, like $200 for everything? And you got 80-degree walk-in greenhouse. Yeah, but that's going to be a fun project to do. This fall, I think. I'm still going full steam ahead on all of my plans and ideas for join the 444 club. It's looking like I won't be able to do it this year. It looks like I'm gonna have to wait and do it next year, maybe late summer, early fall. Is looking like the best time to do it. Joe, dude, that sounds like a blast. We have raised gardens here, and we're thinking about turning them into year-round. Yeah, do it. And then, I mean, think about it. Late at night, you can set up a garden chair in there, walk in, bring 2 beers with you, sit back, have a pipe, have a beer, and it's like you're sitting at the beach. It's beautiful. I'm definitely doing that when I have property, making a greenhouse or something. Yeah. Either a giant hoop garden like that or just straight up greenhouses. Yeah, definitely the way to go. But this summer, I'm going to be taking a bunch of measurements and pictures and stuff of kayaks, and I'm going to start developing a pattern for my own kayak. I wanted to do that this year, but just Things just kept piling up and getting in the way. So I'm going to extend this range for another year and work on getting some more of my stuff minimalized, and see what I can do about doing a Wi-Fi hotspot or something so I could live stream from the islands. There's a lot of small things that are going to take time because you need to film and document the whole thing. So I need to look into different solar panels, how to mount them, how best to incorporate those power systems into what I'm doing. There's one called Light, L-I-T, which looks like it's really good. And I think if I get 2 of those and mount them on some of the top side facets of the kayak, not right where I'm rowing, obviously, but maybe a little bit further back, a little bit further forward, I think I could do something really cool with that. And then I'd want to be able to mount my GoPro to the front of the kayak for when I'm going through rapids and stuff. And then I'm thinking, instead of like the small portals that they usually get to stuff all your stuff through, I'm thinking about making those things huge and only having some hard points right in front of the cockpit, right behind it, right at the nose, and right at the stern of the kayak, to give it strength, and then also for those mounting points. I think that could be a really cool thing. And then I could load the piss out of that kayak. I think right now what we have is a 14-foot canoe and a 12-foot kayak. I think I want to go 16 foot on the kayak, so it really cuts through the water really fast. Because here's something interesting. Kayaks are more efficient when they're longer. For some reason, they produce less drag. And that sounds very counterintuitive to me. However, if that's the case, there's a middle ground between maneuverability and speed. But if I'm going to be and efficiency, but if I'm going to be on the river for 10 to 14 days, I think I'd rather build one more for efficiency, because I'm not going to be I don't really want to go. I'm not really much of a fisherman. I do enjoy fishing every now and then. But like when we're out camping and stuff, I just love rowing the hell out of it and just hitting it hard and really enjoying, the prolonged workout and just being out in nature. And that's more what I'm about. So I think I'm going to do something along the lines of that. And I think that'll be a lot more fun, a lot more interesting, I think, for a lot of people. I wanted to get that drone, and maybe by next year I'll be able to afford it. Who knows, with how Knightsmith is working out and whatever else. Maybe that'll work, maybe it won't. But I think we can figure out a few things here. I'm not sure. And if I'm going to be live streaming from the islands, I want to know if I could, well, I need to get to 1,000 subscribers first before I can live stream on mobile. So maybe I just have to shoot my segment and then upload it. And then that wouldn't be such a bad thing. But I was thinking about getting some sort of like OSB or OBS or whatever on my phone, but And Joe, oh dude, fishing first thing in the morning, one-on-one with nature, paradise. It is. It really is. There's something nice about, getting up early, starting that little fire from the embers last night, and you're still, not quite awake, and you're just futzing with the fire, and you can smell it just start to come up and breathe life into it, and there's fog all around you. You sit back and you make your little breakfast there, 1 or 2 eggs, a couple slices of bacon, you put your coffee on the pot, You have your breakfast, you light a pipe. Now you're starting to get a little bit more awake, and the fog's just starting to burn off just a little bit. You're sitting there just walking around, puffing on your pipe. You grab your fishing gear. You go walk down to the edge of the island, toss a few casts. Oh man, that's the dream. That is fantastic. That is so much fun. And then of course you have to break down your stuff. But now you're awake. You caught a couple fish. You had a pipe. You had your coffee. You had your breakfast. Day's starting to get together, and you know the river's starting to clear up. So you take down all your stuff. You throw in your kayak. Do one last good stretch, and then you break port and go. It's fun. I love those. I love camping like that. Man, now I want to go camping. Well, maybe we should go this year. You know, 2-3 days down the river. Be a good time. Just saying, Joe. I usually go from either Laceyville or Towanda. Depends on how I'm feeling. And then, you know, get out at Falls. I usually camp right near Procter & Gamble, and then I forget the second island or first island or something, a little bit further down, near Tunkhannock. And the first day is kind of a bit of a haul. The second day is kind of difficult, just because there's a lot more flat water. Third day is just butter, and you feel so good coming around that bend. It's good. I'm gonna have to take you out camping with me this year. I'm not gonna lie though, there is a lot of rowing involved. So get those traps and get that upper back worked, because we take kayaks and canoes. It is a fun time though. Last year, 2 years ago, I shot a couple videos while I was out camping. Meyer Cute, Brazil. Well, welcome to the show, or Meyer Cute. Yeah, it's really a lot of fun, and I definitely want to join the 444 club. So I'm going to be doing that next year, but this year I think maybe I'll just get out on the river once or twice, and just stretch my legs and spend a lot of time this winter working out kind of hard, especially for upper back. There's a lot of core, especially if I'm going to be doing the kayak. So a lot of Mason twists I'm going to be doing. And then there's also the endurance factor. So maybe this winter I'll build the kayak, and you know, all spring and summer next year I'm going to be going up to like the state park or something, because they have a nice long lake there, and just doing laps back and forth as much as I can, just to build up the endurance, to get myself really up to snuff. And the hardest thing about doing something like that would be not the actual endurance or the rowing, because you could work up to that pretty easily. It's portage around the dams, because there's like 7 or 10 dams that I'll need to make port and get out, drag my shit around, you know, and reinsert underneath. But I think it'll be a very good trip. And also, Joe, on that stretch of the Susquehanna right there, is some of the best smallmouth bass fishing in the world. I wouldn't eat anything out of the river yet, but it's some of the best fishing in the world, which is, I mean, it's awesome. And if you have the gear, it's almost free to go. The only thing you need is like your lamp oil and your food, fishing license, and registration for your boat. So like $100 for 3 days, worth it. And it's even less than that if, you know, you're going with a couple extra people. Then it cuts the price per person down drastically, and it really increases the fun factor too. I mean, it's nice going out there by yourself and it's relaxing. And a lot of times when I'm just by myself, I go, oh, there's 7 people in here. Cool. I go and most of the time I don't even sleep in my hammock. I'll just sleep on the ground. That's what I know the area from is fishing. Just don't eat anything out of the water. Yeah. One cool aside about my job at the engineering firm. I'm the guy doing the I'm one of the guys doing the MS4 project. And what a lot of people don't know and don't realize is, you know, they're all screaming it's rainwater tax, blah, blah, blah. Not really. It's pollution that people make and runs off into these rivers, creeks, and streams. And everything I'm doing on like a day-to-day basis is you know, going out, figuring out all these watersheds and stuff, and figuring out how to mitigate all this pollution that gets into these drains, which drains into all these creeks, streams, and tributaries, which makes their way into the Lackawanna and Susquehanna rivers. So, and I'm doing all these mitigation and remediation things, and it's so much fun. Knowing that it's so satisfying, knowing that it's actually helping one of my favorite things to do, and making it better and cleaner, and not just for me, but you know, thousands of people. Let's see, Meyer Cute. I'm just hacking everyone's videos. I don't know how to speak English, so I don't have the slightest idea of what is written. Well, okay. Thanks for joining nonetheless. I don't know how to speak English, so I don't know the slightest idea of what is written. Well, I wish I know how to speak Brazilian or any Spanish. You know, when I was a child, I used to be fluent in it, but no one spoke Spanish up here, so I lost that a long time ago. And Joe, oh yeah, it's years of pollution. It really is. And that's kind of a shitty thing. But it's good that we're finally starting to get to it, and we're starting to mitigate that pollution now. You know, better late than never. And I have been seeing market improvements over the last couple of years, even before I got into the program. And now that I'm in that program and working at it, you know, consistently, how much it's improving everything. And it's still going to be years and years before I'm able to do much of anything significant. But every little bit helps. And to be honest, that's one of the most satisfying things about my job. But again, we're going to have to go out and go camping once or twice this year. So much fun. I also need to find a way to somehow get everyone together, like down at the end, like do like a meetup or something. You know, it's 15 days on the river, 14 days on the river or something. That's and consistently talking to people and doing this. I think it'd be really cool, because one thing about the 444 Club is everyone meets at there's a restaurant right at the port, right at the end of it. So, I mean, it's in Maryland, so I don't know if everyone's going to, you know, trek down to Maryland. But, you know you've made it when you got trolls. Yeah. I like your video, but I'm leaving. Bye. Like. Hey, Miser Cute, thank you so much for joining. I really appreciate it. Even if you can't read what's being written. Dia. Have a nice day, buddy. So I think it'd be really cool to have everyone meet up with me, and maybe my dad's gonna go with me. It'd be safer if it was the two of us. I'm gonna have to translate this once I'm done with the live stream. But anyways, it'd be really cool if I could have a ton of people just meet us at that restaurant. I mean, how much of a victory lap would that be? You know, get everything loaded up. You know, make it so that the last day is super easy on us, so we can you know, take some extra time and shower and whatnot, and get ourselves not smelling like river and ass before we pull into port, and you know, get everything loaded up on the cars, and then go have like a nice kind of celebration meal with everyone. I think that'd be so cool. I think that'd be so cool. The perfect way to end that trip too. So wow, we kind of ranged around a wee bit here on this video, talking about you know, I'm starting to take your advice, Joe, and look at finding sponsors, and maybe some of these leather crafting businesses would sponsor me, and like you said, some of the so you've got 8 views, plus or minus a troll or 2, but they count. Yes, they do count. And you know, I don't mind having you know, a couple trolls every now and then. They make the day interesting. And if you like the video, even better. That's more audience engagement. But you know, the thing is, I'm starting to take your advice. I want to start looking for those sponsors, because hopefully I can get this working, you know, and turn this Knightsmith thing into a nice well-oiled machine. I've been working so hard at it that would be so great. So I'm starting to take that advice. I'm gonna hit you up later, a little after I get off here, talk to you about what we were talking about earlier. Let's see, we talked about that, we talked about this, we talked, ooh, Saturday, I'm going to be making a minimalist wallet. And last night I worked out a pattern. I got that pretty well done. Talked about my buddy Mike, which I'm going to be sharing around his GoFundMe. I feel so bad for him. He lost everything. The only thing he was able to get was his computer. Everything else is gone. So I'm going to be you know, getting some stuff together for him today and sharing the GoFundMe around. Oh, my voice cracked. Good. And then we just kind of went ham on camping and board games. Yeah. By the way, I'm a huge board game freak. Maybe that's probably gonna be one of the things I do first. Is do a lot of board games. Oh, I am down for that. I was just telling my wife I need a new wallet, and that doesn't have a million things in it. Yeah, that's one of my biggest pet peeves is when I get a wallet, especially like a bifold, it just becomes a junk collector. I mean, you know, I make fun of my wife for having a ton of shit in her purse. But I turn around and I look at a bifold, and I just have stuff on top of stuff on top of stuff, and 6 years worth of receipts. So the pattern I came up with is going to have space for 4 cards, 4 credit cards, or 3 credit cards in your driver's license, and then like a center pocket that you can put like a few things in. And if that turns out nicely, then I have 4 good leather things I can do without much effort consistently for sale on the website, and I think it'll be good. So I'm going to prototype that and give that away on Saturday. So I hope you can join in, and may the odds be ever in your favor. You know, I'm drinking coffee every morning, but you guys never see inside my cup. So really, and this just came to me, I can be drinking anything in All right, guys. Well, I'm winding up on an hour. 10 minutes shy, but I'm starting to run out of things to talk about. It's a beautiful day, and I have a lot of shit to do. So, I appreciate it. I appreciate you. I'm going to head out for the day. I hope you guys have a fantastic day. Do whatever you can to enjoy your Taco Tuesday and your Cinco de Mayo. Thanks for watching, guys. I appreciate it. I appreciate you, and I'll see you tomorrow. Like, share, subscribe, all that happy stuff. And I'll be talking to you, a few of you, very soon. And Joe, there always has been a little bit of whiskey in there. We'll call it Irish cream. Y'all take care.